Before Putin's speech, world leaders meeting at the United Nations denounced Russia's war in Ukraine. President Biden speaks to the UN General Assembly later this morning. Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent and host of Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan, joins us right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what do you make of this address by President Putin?
Oh, this is a message not just to the Russian people, but right here in New York, to President Biden, to President Zelensky. And ahead of this release, U.S. officials were briefing and called it crass, a crass move to go ahead and do something like this. They are challenging, Vladimir Putin is challenging the very basis of the UN, which was supposed to be might doesn't make right. Yeah. He's saying, let me show you, because I'm not backing down and I'm not pulling out. And he's dangling this nuclear threat again. As of this morning, the latest intelligence is that nuclear weapons are not being moved. There's no indication of that at this point. But the use of catastrophic weapons like nukes has been a consistent concern. And you heard President Biden speak about that just as recently as this weekend on 60 Minutes.
So we have President Putin challenging the UN. Meanwhile, UN leaders are gathering. Can anything come out of that assembly meeting that's going to affect the war in Ukraine?
Well, the UN is the world's parliament, right? I mean, you have countries there who are affected directly by the food crisis. I'm thinking of the entire continent of Africa. I'm thinking about South America. And President Biden is going to try to rally them to say, don't blame us. Look at who is stopping grain shipments and look at why your food costs are skyrocketing, and speak to the global South, as it's called, to try to isolate Russia more. Because there is resentment that this just looks like it's the West trying to dictate to the rest of the world how to behave here. And, you know, not everyone actually wants to be a democracy. So when Vladimir Putin says, hey, don't criticize me on human rights, there are some willing people and countries to go along with that. So President Biden's going to try to flip that script a little bit in his speech today and continue to try to keep not just the West, but the world isolating Russia. But it's a big challenge.
Yeah, Putin definitely putting the world on notice. Very good to have you in the studio.
Great to be here.
The rest you were here for the United Nations, but you get to weigh in on Putin as well. Always good to see you, Margaret Brennan.
Good to talk with you.